welcome. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Excited for you all to be here. All right. It's me again. Hello, if you've done the virtual roundtables. This might be the third time you've seen me. Glad to hang out. So ideas in motion. I hope everyone's it's afternoon here for me. Morning, afternoon, noon, wherever you are, is going well. This is working from home with parents. My name's Cheyanne Clouse. I'm currently your NIRSA student leader, and I've got the rest of my student leadership team here with me today. I've got Mike in Region 1. You'll get to meet all of these people in a little while. Juliana in Region 2, Bailey from Region 3, Katie, Region 4, Nick, Region 5, Zach, Region 6, and Judith, our Canadian student leader. If you guys want to jump in the chat box and let us know where you're from, who you are, just say hello. We would love to see where we've got everybody from today. But before we get started, I just want to go over a couple things. This roundtable is being recorded and will be posted on the NIRSA Ideas in Motion web page. You can just Google NIRSA Ideas in Motion and you'll find that web page. You were muted when you came in, so make sure that you stay muted unless you want to talk. Then feel free to unmute yourself, whether it's for a question, conversation, whatever that might be. Utilize that chat box. Like I encouraged before, to introduce yourself to the group, just let everyone know that you're here. If you have questions or comments, feel free to use that as well. It will also be posted on the Ideas in Motion page with this recorded webinar. And then as we move through the rest of the semester, please continue to utilize NIRSA Connect for further conversations, resource sharing, and whatever that might be. So as we move through participating in this roundtable, please make sure that we're respecting all attendees, as each person is subject to their viewpoints and their ideas. We want to make sure that this room is viewed as a no judgment space, making sure that we're welcoming all ideas and understanding that there's no one size fits all for working at home with your parents. And then we want to make sure that we avoid specific comments on COVID-19 and its symptoms, or quarantine responses, or the responses of the government. We want to focus on solution-based thinking in today's roundtable. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of our tips and tricks. We'll have some slides up for you. Please use that chat feature to ask us questions. If you have comments on a slide, throw them out there. We want this to be discussion-based, not just presenting at you all the whole time. So if at any point you find something that we say you want us to elaborate more, or you have a suggestion, please jump in, just unmute yourself and join us in conversation.
All right, hi people. So these are the topics that we're going to cover today. Like Cheyanne said, if you have any questions, definitely throw them out there as we progress through each topic. Looking forward to having a nice discussion.
So hi everyone, my name is Judith. I'm the Canadian student leader for NIRSA, and I'm just going to talk about creating a workspace at home. It's weird doing it, but it's possible. So the first tip I would give is creating a designated workspace. So don't just kind of say, okay, I'm going to work here today or work here in the house today. Kind of pick that one spot, either it be an in-home office that you have at your desk in your room, wherever it may be that you feel is most comfortable, but also most productive for you and your workspace. If you have to share that workspace, try to create a schedule with like the person. So if you have to share it with your mom, kind of just make sure that you both know what hours you need to use it between, so that it's, you don't run into any conflicts with your parents. The next one is to eliminate or limit distractions. For me, the biggest distraction is still my phone. Either I'm in my house or not. So muting your phone, putting on airplane mode for the hours that you've picked to work, or limiting distractions. Sometimes it's really hard to just put your phone away. So, limit it by, say, example, Instagram. I put a self-timer on it. You can do that through the settings in the account part, and you put a daily timer. So once you reach a certain amount of minutes, the app tells you you've reached your amount, so then you can like get off the app. Next one is don't be too comfortable where your workspace is. As I mentioned before, a lot of us like to work on our couch or on the bed. I myself have created that habit of working on my bed. I even bought a bed desk, which is not productive. Yeah, so picking those spaces that aren't too comfortable, as I said before, like a desk and actually sitting at a chair. And the last one I would give for creating a workspace is putting working hours on your door if you work in your bed, in your room. I work in my room, so instead of like a do not disturb, because parents, they are not immune to that, they will still come in, putting up a working hours instead, so they know, okay, between these hours, they're doing schoolwork, they're doing actual work, so I shouldn't disturb them, and just communicate that with your parents or whoever you live with. Yeah. Are there any questions or other suggestions that you all have in creating that workspace at home? If you do, please put them in the chat box. I'll give a few seconds for that. If anyone has any.
I put those like time limit filters on my phone recently, Judith, and yesterday my Snapchat one by like noon told me I had reached my limit for the day. I was like, wow, I'm probably not being very productive today. But then it really didn't let me on the app the rest of the day, and I was pretty unfortunate until this morning when I woke up and had 600 Snapchats.
Yeah.
One thing I've been doing is I've been on House Party, like the app House Party with some friends, and like we all just kind of work at the same time. So it's like having an open door office, but you're still just chatting and like being productive, and it's still someone to bounce ideas off of. And that's really helped me stay productive in my like workspace.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, think of them and we'll come back around in the end. But I'm gonna pass it on to Bailey. He's gonna speak about the next tip.
Awesome, thanks Judith. Hey everyone, my name is Bailey Adams. I'm the Region 3 student leader. Hashtag Region 3 is the place to be, Dom. So that was good to see. I'll talk to you about kind of embracing the webcam, whether you're dealing with class online or whether you're in a bunch of work calls or work meetings that have to do online, how you can like go about using the webcam more efficiently and effectively. So the first one is find a space with little to no distractions. Like Judith was talking about, I'll echo a lot of what she was saying about finding a place where you're not going to have someone walking by in your background or any other like distractions. Maybe there's pets. If you're in a work meeting or class, that can be distracting to other people. And so, yeah, just finding a space where there's no distractions. There's no like crazy picture on the wall in the background. So that people are focusing on what you're saying and what you're doing rather than what's going on in the background of your room or your space. The second one is to mute yourself when you're not talking. So when you all came into this call, you all were muted by the administrator of the call. So that was kind of taken care of for you. But in the future, when you're on calls like this, having your mute on when you're not talking really limits distractions for other people, as well as a little bit of embarrassment by yourself. Not sure if y'all have seen any videos, but I've seen plenty of videos just in the past couple of days of people who are on Zoom calls or video calls for class, and they forget to turn their mute off, and they yell something to their mom or their dad, or they yell something at their dog or cat or something. It's pretty embarrassing. For that would be super embarrassing for myself if I had to do that. And then it also just limits distractions for other people. So if there's something going on in my room that's just making a lot of noise, or my chair creaks a lot, having myself on mute eliminates that noise, and people don't have to deal with it on their end of the video call. The third one is be careful of the chat function. So we encourage y'all to use the chat function. We want discussion to happen, but just make sure that if you are choosing to send something individually to someone, if I were to send something individually to Judith or Cheyanne or someone, making sure that it's not to everyone, just being careful with that individuality that you can do, because some people, I've already seen videos of it from class the past couple days online, that people send messages that are supposed to be private and to individuals sent to the whole 250 person class, which is really tough. I've also seen some messages like, oh, this professor isn't great, or some like not so positive comments about the professor, and it goes to the group chat and the professor can read it. So that's another thing to be aware of. And then the fourth one would be to look at the webcam when you're talking and not at the person you're talking to. Yeah, Nick, I'll get to that in just a minute. Yeah. So the looking at the webcam and not the person you're talking to. So it's really natural for us to look at the person we're talking to, because that's just how we normally function with eye contact. But when I look at Jules, like I'm looking at on the computer, it probably looks like I'm just staring into this computer, like there's something super interesting going on the other side of the screen. If I look at the webcam, it looks like I'm looking right at you. So that's a good note to have. Oh, that's a great idea, Jules. Putting a smiley face sticky note next to your webcam as a reminder. The last one I had was to give an extra second for others to finish their thought. Video chat's a lot better than a conference call in that sense, where you can kind of see when people are done talking. But still, there's delays that can happen. There's glitches that can happen. So giving that person who's talking an extra second to finish their thought before you chime in with a question or with whatever you thought. So Nick asked a great question, how to change your background of your Zoom. So if I wanted to change the background of my Zoom, I would go to, I'm on a Mac, so I would go up to the preferences for Zoom, and then I would click virtual background, and then they have some preset ones. So I can change it to the Golden Gate Bridge, some lovely grass, the planet Earth, whatever you want to, or you can just change it back to what your actual background is. So it's pretty simple, but it's a good idea if you do have some distracting things in your background, or you've got an important meeting or interview or something coming up, to have a nice background, because that can be distracting. And then I did list a few of the video tools that I've used that I'm familiar with. So Zoom, obviously, y'all are familiar with Zoom since you're on this call. Microsoft Teams is another one. That's a part of the Microsoft suite. GoToMeeting is another platform that you can utilize for video meetings, and Google Hangouts is another one. If anybody has any others or any other tips that they've used during school, online, or interviews or anything, please put it in the chat. That'd be great to hear some of those tricks and tips like Jules put in. But thank you all for listening, and I think I'm turning it over to Zach.
Yeah, before we do, I learned from Juliana actually that different universities are putting out backgrounds that you can download, and so your university can be your background. So that's pretty cool. Skype business. All right.
Yeah, at UNLV we use WebEx. It's pretty much just like Zoom. It's pretty similar for those that are bringing it up, and Mike bringing it up in chat. So my slide here is on being productive and keeping productive. First thing we really emphasize you want to do is to create a list that includes the top things you should be doing every day. It's something that maybe when you're in an office, it just kind of flows normally through the workday. But when you're out of that comfort zone of, I walk into the office, I read my emails, I check my scores, I look at any reports from last night, a lot of the things have changed. So kind of reworking your own schedule to see things that you should be doing every day is a great idea. Schoolwork, exercise, feeding a pet, paid work, everything you need to do in your own home too. So you got to keep your office clean, and now we got to keep our home working environments clean, especially with the parents in the house, which is what we're trying to focus on today. I know my mom always yells about me about keeping my room clean. Well, now it's my office as well, so it's double duty for me trying to keep it all clean. To keep kind of track of this, I use the app, and it's a phone app, and it's also a website called Trello. It's great. You can create different boards for yourself, different cards or different checklists that you go through. You can get really specific with it, or you can keep it really broad. Other people have used Google Keep or a pen and paper planner. I tend to lose those kind of things. I won't lose my phone, and I'll be able to keep track of that on my phone. If you have any other great ideas for how to keep productive or how to create to-do lists, put them in the chat and we'll talk about them here. So the second one, and really like to keep productive is keeping time to spend with your family. There are support systems right now that are the most in-person that a lot of us can get. Some of them can be difficult at times, like the sister that is at college as well and is back home and doesn't tend to agree with everything that I like. So TV time might have to be shared or split up between different people. But just taking time out to, when you have lunch, talk to everyone and say, hey, let's have lunch at 12:30 today. We'll all go down, make sandwiches, whatever you want to do, just to kind of keep that kind of routine in place. So scheduling everything in my Google Calendar from Cheyanne, that's a good option as well. That goes right along with Google Keep. I don't know if you ever used that, Cheyanne. It is helpful sometimes. It's the little light bulb icon on the side of the Google Slides and different Google apps. There's a lot of different uses for Google, and I know a lot of people that use their calendar. And then add.
I put like television in my calendar, like eat lunch, like everything.
Yeah, so some people get super specific like that. I could never do that because I would never stay that on task with my thing. It would always be, like I can watch another episode and go into my email time. So just got to go with the flow for myself, and some people that might be your strength as well. Adding collaborators to Trello, especially exactly like Katie said, I add my supervisor to mine and my supervisors for my intramural team that I oversee. They're broken down into different groups that have staff that are all working on projects together. So I the supervisors liaison between their groups to me through Trello or communication over Skype and things like that. And it's a way to keep really everyone accountable really well. All right.
All right. I'm going to be talking about maintaining a schedule. So like everybody has mentioned, if you have any comments or questions, please drop those in the chat as we go. So number one would be try your best to stay on your regular schedule. So when you would normally be in class or normally would be working on class activities, do so at that time. I've kept all of my regular meetings for work with my supervisor. We're just meeting at our regular time, just virtually through Teams. If you have certain office hours and you're still able to work, try your best to stick to those. Second tip here would be to take a walk outside and take a mental break. So taking that TV break in your apartment or house or whatever is not going to be quite the same as just going outside, getting outside of your environment that you're working in, especially if you're in a one-bedroom apartment like I am, where I'm like working in my living room. I am still like in my workspace or like right next to my workspace when I'm taking my breaks. So I like to go outside, just take a walk around the block, just make it like 10, 15 minutes and just kind of take that mental break. And then also be aware of time zone differences. So your schools and where you live might be in different time zones. So I know Zach is now in Eastern time zone, but his school is back on Pacific time, and Bailey is the opposite. His school is in Eastern time, he's in Pacific time. So keeping track of those differences in time zones so that you can be cognizant of a 10 o'clock meeting at your school might not be 10 o'clock where you actually are. Do you guys have any questions or other tips for maintaining your schedule?
I used to have coffee in the morning with my supervisor. We always would walk to Starbucks in the morning. Like we'd get there, do a couple things, walk to Starbucks, get our coffee, walk back, sit down, be productive for a couple hours, and then like walk around the facility. And so I felt like I was really missing that when I got home and struggling with that. So now I use House Party, like Juliana said, and I'll have coffee with my friends or get to hang out with my friends in the morning to try to keep as much normal as possible. And then like Nick said, like walking around my house was like not the same as walking around the building and getting to interact with a bunch of people. So I struggled with that, but it's definitely been helpful to go outside.
Anything else? There was a note in the chat box about staying on task. Back to Zach's slide, write your to-do list on paper. it's tangible and it will be right in front of you and reduce your screen time. So that's a good point there, Dom. Anything else? All
I'm
right.
Juliana. I'm the Region 2 student leader. As I go through this slide, I definitely want to know what you guys have been, like what changes have you guys have been struggling with the most. So as I go through this, feel free to drop that in the chat just to kind of check in with you guys and to see what you have been struggling with. I think being flexible to change is really important. We joke that not every day looks the same for our profession, and it's especially true in this time. This negates a lot of what Zach, Judith, and Nick just kind of went over, but everyone is adjusting to new roles and responsibilities, and normal one day might not work for you the next day. You might have different roles or different hats each day. You might have different people coming in and out of your house each day. Like, it's kind of inconvenient. As Nick said, it's good to stay to a routine, but it's okay to have a different routine one day to the next. I think taking some time in the morning is really important to kind of plan out your day and say, okay, these are things I need to tackle today. We don't have control over what our universities decide or what our work kind of decides, but we can control our responses to those things. It's important to have empathy during this time of they're trying to figure it out just as much as we are, and kind of having that understanding of everyone's trying to find their normal, get into their groove, and it does change day to day. That's going to be really important to understand about coworkers and parents and siblings that you might be working with or around. Classmates too. It's important to kind of have that understanding. And then finally, communication is key. If you are still working, talk to your boss one-on-one. Many of us are used to stopping in to a professor's office hours or a coworker's office just to chat and check in and kind of bounce ideas off of each other. Why not continue that virtually? Similarly, if you need space from your family, it's okay to respectfully ask for that distance. People aren't mind readers, and especially in this time as you're adjusting to living back at home, you have to tell them what your needs and your feelings are. I know Cheyenne's been overwhelmed with emails, and we all kind of are too, with working virtually and checking in. So I think that that's difficult to kind of navigate. Dominique, thank you for reminding us to give ourselves grace during this time too. I think that that's important.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my coworkers yesterday, and he was saying that he doesn't think his email has ever been more active than it has been in this time, because everyone's trying to communicate with each other so much. Our universities are communicating with us. Our graduate programs are communicating with us. Our students are communicating with us. We're trying to communicate with them. Like, there's just so much communication, and sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I have 40 group me's, 6 text messages, 52 unread emails, like, and I got to be on a Zoom call today. So I feel like there was just a lot of stimulus sometimes for me, and trying to navigate that new normal has been really tough.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about staying connected, but I did just want to like harp on what Juliana was saying, and like what Dom said, these are changing times, so make sure you are giving yourself that grace and realizing that one day something might work for you really well, like being on your bed like I am currently, because it's the only place with a blank background, but the next day going to an actual desk or sitting at a table might work a little bit better. So you're going to figure out your own ways to adapt to that change, but you got to be flexible and give yourself grace, like Dom and Juliana said, so thank you. So I'm just going to talk about how to stay connected with either your parents or your friends. So if anyone's parents are like my parents, they've maybe been a little bit removed from higher education for a little bit, or don't understand what you do for your job. So this is your opportunity to fully engage them in what you do in school and work. So some things I've been doing is showing my parents like how I schedule things on IM or on Fusion IM, things like that, so that they kind of have a better understanding of what I actually have been doing on a day-to-day basis for a majority of my higher ed career, or maybe showing them your Blackboard assignments, things like that, and what you're doing while you're here working from home as well. So I think that's just important, that it's just a chance for you to show exactly what you have been doing and have to do on a day-to-day basis if they haven't been involved in your higher ed kind of career. And then totally use them for help. Use them to study. Give them flashcards and they can help you study for a test, or they can help you brainstorm ideas. I was asking my dad what are ways I can engage my staff? Do you have any ideas that I could maybe use to keep my staff focused and having fun at the same time, things like that. So just use them for help at that point. You're working with them. You're going to be in the same space with them for a while now. So use them to your advantage. And then other things, just make sure you're finding ways to stay connected to your friends, and kind of finding that positivity that Cheyanne will talk about next. They're going to be a huge support system for you. So using things like House Party, a lot of people have been having fun with those kinds of apps, or playing games over Zoom. I think that's been a lot of fun for me. I've played a couple computer games. So just finding those ways to stay connected to the people around you, and not only hone in on the fact that maybe all your family is under one roof again, and it's changing, it's difficult, but everyone's being flexible and learning how to adapt, but stay connected to each other in a positive way. So if you guys have done anything or seen any challenges working from home with your parents, let us know. But if not, then Cheyanne, you can go ahead and move along.
Yeah. Zach's right. Our parents are going through the same things too. Maybe they have some time to learn these things.
Yeah, last night we were doing the test run for the NIRSA trivia tomorrow, and my dad was laying on the couch and just shouting out answers to different questions. So he didn't help me get a winning score or anything like that, but we both tried and failed together. So
Nice. I know for me, I've been out of my parents' house for almost 6 years. So I haven't moved back yet, so I haven't had to work with them yet, but it's going to be an awesome time to like reconnect and go back to some of the old things. My dad and I love watching Jeopardy together, so we can watch Jeopardy. We also really like playing card games, so I'll get to do some of those things, which I'm excited about. And so the last kind of thing we want to talk about is remaining positive. So Juliana kind of talked about this earlier, but you can only control what you can control. So it's not worth ruminating in our feelings. And I know that there's a lot of things going on, but maintaining a positive outlook through all of these uncharted circumstances is really crucial. So you can use this time as an opportunity to do a couple different things. So the first one is refocus your why. We talk a lot about why in NIRSA. So why did we participate in NIRSA and engage in NIRSA? But why do we do the jobs that we do? Why are we studying the things that we're studying? Why did I decide to move 20 hours away from home to get a degree in something? So thinking about all of those things and taking the opportunity to look introspectively, because a lot of the times we're very accomplished driven or task focused, and we don't stop and reflect on ourselves until we're forced to, maybe in those evaluations that you might have with your supervisors, but you don't really get to take that time to look into yourself and find that out. So refocus your why, reinvestigate your why. Maybe it changes, and that's totally okay. This is also a great time to learn a new skill or pick up a new hobby. I know for myself, I'm a fitness graduate assistant, so you know I should be doing the fitness things. But oftentimes, besides teaching the classes that I might teach in a week, I don't get a lot of time to do fitness myself. With the somewhat beautiful weather, it's kind of hit or miss. One day it's like 85, the next day it's like monsooning, and there's tornadoes. But on those beautiful days, I go outside and I've picked up rucking, so walking with weight on my back. It's kind of been really fun, and golf. So going outside and trying to find some new hobbies. And then my new skill is I'm trying to become a painter. So I'm not very creative, but I went to like a painting class once and I had a ton of fun with my cousin. So now I'm trying to get like involved in painting. I bought like 17 canvases and I'm really excited. And then establish good habits. So this is a really good opportunity to start. I don't know what your new habit could be. Mine has been waking up every morning and going outside and drinking my cup of coffee instead of sitting at my television or my computer and drinking a cup of coffee. So trying to go outside in the morning. I also have done better with like my meal prepping. So that's just something I personally like to do, but choosing healthier meals and establishing those really good like hygiene habits and different things like that. Trying to read before bed versus watching television. So whatever those habits might be for you, you have a lot less going on outside of your house. So this is a good opportunity to establish those things inside of your house. Oh, thought of a really good one. I have been folding my laundry immediately after it finishes in the dryer and putting it away right away. So that was a huge thing for me in establishing a good habit. I now have time to do those things. So I'm trying to really hone in on it now versus having wrinkly clothes all the time.
That basically means you're a full adult at this point. Like that's like that's like the step to being a full adult.
Really?
I don't do it.
Or if you're living at home with your parents, you could establish the great habit of having your parents do your laundry for you. Bailey might need to talk about that one.
I know how to do my own laundry. She volunteers to do it.
See, there you go. So there are benefits to living at home with your parents. As I said, full meals instead of just snacks. Big key there. Laundry. Judith says sign language is a new good skill to learn. So I'm going to unshare my screen for a little bit so that we all can conversate. There's been some questions. I know Dominique asked tips for preventing sensory overload for ourselves, our students, or even our supervisors. That's a great question. I will refrain from answering that because I am the biggest sensory overload person ever. I get overstimulated with this kind of stuff extremely easily. So I don't have any tips for how to manage it because I haven't figured it out yet.
I could talk about that a little bit because I was experiencing some of that, I guess, the last few days where if I was on my computer and I left the computer, I was on the phone, or if I left that, I was on the iPad or my TV here with the PlayStation. So I realized, okay, I'm spending a lot of time just looking at any kind of screen, any kind of size. So I tried to really incorporate more reading so I could get away from looking at screens and just have time to relax and just not have to think so much, or as I'm looking at a screen, rest my eyes kind of thing. And then kind of similar to what Katie said, I've had times where I just chilled and listened, had some music playing in the background, and I'm just like not doing anything. Just kind of giving myself a break and allowing myself to kind of reset without having to look at a screen.
Yeah, as Derek said, I've heard of some like campus rec programs doing book clubs just within their friend group or like within the department. I think that that's a great idea to stay connected to. Great opportunity to learn a new like conversation starter, or to do like a leadership development book, I think too, that you can potentially use for your staff. Bailey, what's this movie book club?
So I think Nick is in the same one that I'm in with Sibby, but there was another campus rec professional who started this movie club, and if you want to join it, please hit me or Nick up because we'll get you to join it. But we're supposed to watch a movie. We have some notes to write down on our thoughts on the movie, and then we have a Zoom call. It's the call's tomorrow, and then we'll just discuss the movie and exactly like a book club, but it's just a virtual movie club. I will drop the link.
That's awesome. Doesn't really help with the sensory overload because you're still looking at the screen, but it's still really fun. I got blue light glasses. I got them a while ago because I used to get headaches from looking at the screen a lot. And now my looking at the screen has exponentially increased, but I left them in my office. So I might have to get new ones. Anyone else have tips? Ooh, doodle. I like that. Anyone else have tips or questions?
I think the grounding point is really good. One technique that I have learned through like just counseling and everything is to like check in with yourself using the HALT method. So it's like, are you hungry? Are you angry at something? Are you lonely, or are you tired? So it's like checking in, are your needs being met? Have you eaten something? Are you lingering on a thought of something? Do you need social contact, or like, do you need a nap? And like using that to check in with yourself is really good.
I like that. I like that a lot. Has anyone experienced any trouble working from home with their parents? Maybe even like your Wi-Fi is too slow. So this isn't parents per se, but there are 4 graduate assistants here that all live in the same house. And if they're all on a Zoom meeting at the same time, they all get kicked off of Zoom. So they ended up having to do like coordinate different things. And some people go outside. They try and arrange their meetings. So I can only imagine that being difficult with your parents as well.
Yeah, one of my students is not, her mother is working from home and uses the Wi-Fi during normal business hours. So my student can't work on homework or do anything until after 5 p.m.
Yeah, I bet that's tough.
My parents specifically requested that I did not come home for the sole reason of them being able to do their work on the Wi-Fi. So I'm still chilling in Iowa.
Yeah. That's hard too, because you probably want to go home and have some social interaction.
I might go crazy if I like lived with my parents again. So
My younger brother, he's a gamer, so he literally has the ether cable plugged into his PS4. So he really takes up all the internet. So I literally have to tell him, hey, I'm about to like be on a Zoom call or like do an online exam. Can you please not play games for the next hour? Which sometimes doesn't work, but
I was gonna say, I bet that doesn't go over well. Brothers and sisters. Oof.
This is off the topic of Wi-Fi and internet, but my parents have been planning to replace the roof for a while now, and so the whole roof will be getting replaced this week, so it'll be really interesting for any of my calls or the work I need to be doing to deal with that during this time. So I don't know if anyone else's parents are doing home improvement projects or if you are yourself, but it should be interesting.
Oh, good point. Good questions. Younger siblings who are like in school, feel free to jump on and chat these out loud, y'all. Kate?
Yeah, so my question is kind of about younger siblings. I have a 4-year-old sister, which is why I have been hesitant to go home because I have classwork and stuff to do. So I don't know how, if anyone else is dealing, most people probably don't have a sibling who's 20 years younger than them. But I don't know that that would be possible for me to work from home with her there.
I have a little like god brother. He's the same age. He's 4, and he sometimes comes over. And the way I deal with him is trying to give him like coloring books or something, and be like, "Okay, we're gonna do homework together." So while I'm doing my work, he's doing his work as well. That's the way I get him to like, cause he loves being around me. So like, I can't tell him to leave the rooms, and I don't want him to. So yeah.
Oh. Katie has a cute little distraction at her house.
Yeah, I've got a nephew who's over today, and I was watching him for a little bit while my sister was away, and I really didn't get a lot of work done because I just wanted to hold him and look at how cute he was. But you gotta prioritize your stuff, and so he went in the swing for a little bit while I got my stuff done, so we're good.
Catherine, I see that you have a brother. How are you guys handling that? Maybe. Catherine, are you there? It's difficult, yeah. Oh, here we go. Start unmuting yourself and talk about these things, y'all. I want to hear it.
Hey, it's Bree. I'm from Montclair State. So I'm the one with a 3-year-old brother. We also have a 20-year age difference. It's a lot of fun. He is super understanding that like when I say it is time for me to go to work or go to school and I go into my room, he's cool with it, but we do have plans to eat lunch together every day. So that's what we do.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, Alyssa, you seem like you have an interesting situation. You're the tutor, huh?
Yeah, my siblings have been asking me for a lot of school help, and it is a lot harder than some of my college classes.
That's probably things that, like, unless you're a math major, that you probably haven't done in a minute, right?
No, and the way they learn is totally different than the way I learn. So trying to keep teaching them the way they're supposed to learn, it's impossible.
Wow. I'm trying to figure out. That's so funny. Are they doing virtual school? Like, do they have?
They have iPads, and so they've been doing it for last week, and then this is the second week. So it's been interesting.
Huh.
So I'm gonna give it a shot here. If you hear any hammering, I apologize. My dad redoing the basement. But I have a younger brother who is a senior now, and so I feel for him when he can no longer be on campus or like do like senior stuff and so on and so forth. So like my struggle is trying not to empathize too much with him and allowing him to have his own normal while I have my own normal. Meanwhile, we're like 5 feet away from each other. So, and then like continuing on with that, like being as empathetic as I am, and I'm sure all you guys have similar traits when it comes to empathy because we are campus rec people and that's our thing. But the biggest thing that it's affecting me is just the students. You know what I mean? It's like such a hard transition, and I'm sure a lot of you are graduate students, graduate assistants. Shout out to all of you, and shout out to the pro staff. But you know, you guys are kind of like right in the middle, and I'm not too far off from you guys. I think I might be 2 or 3 years older than all of you guys, but it's gonna be okay, basically is what I gotta say. And a lot of you got to give yourself a lot more credit. You know, you guys are involved in NIRSA and you guys are graduate assistants and also maintaining your course load. You know, it's fine. Like, it's going to be okay. We'll get back to our normal one day, hopefully by May. At least that's what I'm told. But yeah, we're in this together, as everyone has been saying, but just keep on chugging and we'll be fine.
Thanks for that. I love that. Bailey brought this up earlier, and I don't want it to go unnoticed. He was talking about learning new recipes from his parents. So there probably are some good things happening from being at home and working from home with your parents. So, like, what are some of those experiences, Bailey, if you want to talk about maybe what recipes you've learned or kind of what you've got going on?
Yeah, so I'm a pretty awful in the kitchen. So before this, my kind of limits were like Eggo waffles, like pancakes, very, very limited knowledge in the kitchen. So I've challenged myself that now that I'm going to start becoming an adult here soon, I should learn how to be a little more self-sufficient. And so I've asked my parents to teach me a few things around the kitchen. And I'm one of those people that needs to follow the recipe like word for word. So there's no like a sprinkle of this, a splash of that. I need a definite answer for how much of whatever is going into this recipe. So it's been both my parents are very much the opposite. So they've been helping me out, kind of meet in the middle. But it's been going well so far.
Have your limits expanded? Where are we sitting now?
Yeah, for sure. I cooked burgers the other night. I've asked Mom she's got a really good mac and cheese recipe, and I want to learn how to make it. So that's my goal.
I'd like to learn how to try it. What are some other good things that are happening from working from home with your parents? Can't all be bad. Or your family.
So I work in Ohio, but I am social distancing from New York because that's where I'm from. But it's nice though, because I made an effort before this all happened to come home at least once a month, to kind of have like a checks and balances within myself. I thrive off community and family, and like being a first year professional. The one thing I guess if I were to lack something was like a social life in Ohio. I mean, I had it, but like it wasn't as sophisticated as what I'm used to. But no, it's nice seeing my parents now that they're home more often, and they're a lot older now, so they're not working as hard. But I've been cracking jokes about this basement renovation this whole day, but I'm really glad that he has the chance now to spend time on that. So seeing my parents, seeing my siblings that I didn't see as regularly as I have been the last 2 weeks has been really cool. And it's also been really refreshing because it makes me value what I have back in Ohio, just like the solitude and the independence, and like everything is just on me. I don't have to report back to mom or dad or anything like that. But no, it's been good.
That's awesome. Anyone else got any good things from working from home with your parents or your family?
I'll add one more thing. I go to school. I'm originally from Oregon, and that's where I'm at right now with my parents, but I go to school in Michigan. And so I've been, kind of cooped up here for the last couple weeks, and like the walls are starting to close in for sure. But it's been very helpful. I had a friend of mine remind me that I don't normally get this time with my family, and I probably won't get this kind of time with my family moving forward into my adult life. So I've been very appreciative. And she said the words were to practice gratitude every day. So I've been trying to do that and recognize that I don't get to spend as much time with my parents as I've liked to the last couple of years. And I don't get to see my dogs as often as I'd like to either. So that's been a lot of fun and something that's helped me from kind of going stir crazy.
That's huge.
Okay, this is Tom. So I'm looking at this from the other side. So as a parent, when my children came home, my experience was that they had changed and matured and grown substantially. There's a real difference in who they became. And that was quite a joy from my perspective. And, we talked about it, I don't think they saw that because for them it's incremental, but for me, over a period of time. And I'm just wondering if if your parents are talking about that, assuming that you turned out okay. I mean, so it's, that if they haven't, it might be a nice conversation to have, to see the growth and they actually would repeat things I said to them when they were younger. Now that was amazing. Just I didn't think they were listening, but anyway, it might be something that you might want to talk to your parents about.
Tom, so April 16th is my 1-year anniversary at YSU. And so like the last 2 days, all I've been hearing from my dad is, oh my God, I can't believe you left a year ago. Oh my God, this, oh my God, that. You're a big girl now and all that. And at first it was redundant, and now I'm at a place where it's wow, reflective almost. I'm being introspective about it. But hearing it from you, you basically said the same thing as what my dad's been saying. It's been really refreshing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good.
I struggle with that as a student and just as a young person, because I've been away from my family for so long and I only go home for usually 2 weeks at a time. Finding the balance between who I am when I'm on my own and who I am when I'm living at under my parents' roof is really weird, because sometimes since I don't spend all of that time there, they don't, like you said, really know me anymore. It's been a long time. Mm-hmm. So they sometimes still look at me like I'm a child or whatever it might be. And they don't think that about me at all, but that's the last time we spent a substantial amount of time together, I was a senior in high school, and I'm a far different person now than I was my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
I think that that's a huge point to bring up.
All
I
the
wish
more
I was
reason to
at home.
talk. Yeah.
Wish
all
I
the-
was at home to have that conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do send them all of these roundtables and make them watch. So
Yeah. Okay.
probably have that conversation now.
Yeah, there you go.
Say hi to my mom and dad, everyone. All right, well, I'm going to share my screen one more time with you all really quickly, just to let you know as we wrap things up that we have one more student experience roundtable coming up next Thursday, April 7th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So last time we kind of touched surface level on a lot of different things. We're going to dive a little deeper into some of the things that are affecting us as students as we're moving through these new transitions. And I really struggle calling it my new reality. I'm just calling it my current situation because hopefully I'll return to my reality. This is my present situation, but I don't want this to be reality because I'm an extrovert. But we'll be having this roundtable next Tuesday. So come share your experiences with us. We really want to hear them and see how we can help you. And the last thing is our contact information. This is all of the student leadership team's contact information. So if you heard something from someone today that you really connected with and want to hear more about, or have questions about things in your region or whatever that might be, please reach out to them and myself. We're more than willing to help on anything and everything. I hear Bailey's really good at statistics, so like we're really here for you guys in whatever capacities you need. If you're looking for movie reviews, we've got some movie book club people. So utilize us, please. We're here for you all. Take a picture of this, whatever it might be. I do want to thank you guys for spending the last almost hour with us. We really appreciate this, and if you have other suggestions for roundtables, let us know. If you want to drop your contact information into the chat, please do so. And just remember all the things we talked about today, continuing to practice that gratitude and empathy, giving yourself and each other grace, and really supporting the network around you. NIRSA is a great family with amazing connections and fantastic people all across the board. So use them. We are the NIRSA family all the time, and it's never been more present than in the situation that we're living in right now. So with all those things in mind, I just want to end today's call by saying thank you, and peace, love, NIRSA.
See ya.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks.